Okay, so I'm done on the floor. I'm back up to my squats. And as you can see, my breathing is elevated on the second circuit. So now we're ready to really get into some high heart rate movements and feel that response. So now we're going to go into the squats. Okay, so there's my 10 squats. And as you progress through this, you may want to check your heart rate as it will be climbing. And, you know, we can talk about target heart rates. And ideally, you want your heart rate to be between 65 and 95% of your max heart rate while you're doing this workout. Okay, so now we're doing thrusters. Okay, now that we're done with thrusters, we're going to go back to inchworm. Okay, now that we're done with inchworm, we're going to go to our dumbbells and start our curls. And from curls, we'll transition right into tricep kickbacks. And there we've completed 2 circuits. So I'm going to check my watch. I'm going to take 1 minute's rest, and I'll start back with our last round of circuit. So by now my heart rate is elevated, my breathing has increased, and I'm really in that higher heart rate zone now that's ideal for this type training. You want to try to get a high heart rate, and you also want to make sure that you let that heart rate come down when you recover during the rest interval. So high heart rates, recovery, high heart rates, recovery. And remember, you want your heart rate to be within 65 and 95% of your max heart rate. And a good way to figure that number is to take your age, subtract it from 220, and that gives you your max heart rate. And you can just multiply the percentages based on that. So again, 65 to 95% of max heart rate. And pretty soon we'll be starting right back up with our last circuit. This one's really going to get our heart rate up. And again, you can pace yourself based on what condition you find yourself in when you start this exercise. And as you progress through this, you want to speed it up and speed it up until you can see marked improvements. Okay, so we're going to start back this last circuit, and I'm going to start back with the plank. I'll check my watch, get in position, and go. A good goal would be able to get through all circuits, all 3 circuits, without having to interrupt your plank. That is, to be able to go 1 full minute in the plank position without resting. Checking my watch to see how much time I have left on my plank. Okay, that's 1 minute of planking. I'm going to transition right into push-ups. Okay, transitioning into Superman. Okay, now I'm back up, and I'm going to perform my squats. And if by this time in the workout you're realizing that this is my last circuit, if I'm having a little bit of extra energy, I may want to try to pick up the pace a little bit. So that's what I'm going to do here with my squats. Okay, so my squats are done. I'm progressing to my thrusters. Same thing, if I have extra energy left over, or I think I may have extra energy left over, I'll go ahead and utilize that now to make sure that the workout has been done so that I get as much benefit as I possibly can out of this time that I've spent here. So here we go. Thrusters. Deep breath down. Okay, Thrusters are done. Really getting winded now. I can feel my heart rate elevating. My breathing is a little more deep and a little more labored. So now we're going to inchworm. Okay, so now we're going to progress to curls. And finally, the kickbacks. Okay, and we're done with 3 circuits. And that took 23 minutes and 23 seconds. So it's important to record your time so that you can make progressions. You can show progressive improvements. So maybe the next time I do this workout, I may want to try to knock 1 minute off of it, depending on how I feel. So if I felt like I left a lot of energy on the table, so to speak, then the next time I can just speed up a little bit and do the movements a little faster, or I can transition from one move to the other a little bit faster. But the idea is to get as much out of it as you can by getting that heart rate as high into that 65 to 95% of max heart rate as you can. So let's say the first time I do this exercise, I check my heart rate and I was at 70% of max heart rate. Well, maybe 2 or 3 workouts down the road, I check again. I may be at 85%, and you can continue watching progressions at that rate. So watch the heart rate progression, also watch the time clock and see that time clock go down. And at some point, you may become so proficient at this that you'll actually do 4 circuits in the time that it originally took you to do 3 circuits. So there it is. There's a good circuit that anybody can do at home with minimal amounts of equipment. And give it a try and email me and let me know how it works for you. Thanks.